There are moments that change everything, moments when even time itself becomes the judge. As the end draws near, it's no longer hours or days that matter, but minutes, 7 minutes. A voice echoing through eternity, where every second weighs more than entire lives, filled with choices and paths taken. Humanity's clock no longer ticks softly in the background. It roars. The heavens darken, the earth trembles, and everything we once thought was secure begins to crumble. No wall is strong enough, no power great enough to stop what's coming. And suddenly we realize, time was never ours. It always belonged to someone greater. In these final minutes, truth can no longer be hidden. No filters, no lies, no excuses remain. What was once buried in the heart is now revealed, and everything stands before its final judgment. And while you're listening, don't forget to subscribe, so you won't miss the next chapter in this story that could change everything. The last 7 minutes are not just time, they are weight. Every ticking sound of the clock feels like a hammer striking against the chest of humanity. What once felt ordinary, seconds slipping by unnoticed, now becomes a piercing reminder that everything we know is ending. As the hands of the clock move forward, the air itself seems to thicken, as if every breath carries the taste of eternity. People look up, look down, look at one another, but no one finds a way out. The clock, once a friend that marked workdays, holidays, and the rhythm of life, has now become an enemy. Every falling second is a door closing behind us, and everything we wish to say or do gets trapped in our throats. Time grants no more chances. It is transformed into judgment itself. Memories of life flash like fragments in a shattered mirror. Childhood laughter, youthful dreams, the weight of adulthood, all of it collapsing into pieces on the floor. The final clock reminds every soul that nothing was in vain, but nothing went unaccounted for. Every action, every step, every glance now carries a weight it never had before. The silence that follows the ticking is deafening. No music, no comfort, only the sound of time pronouncing its verdict. It's a rhythm that cannot be stopped, a voice that speaks without words. And in that moment, humanity finally understands. Time was never a resource to manage, but a gift that can be taken away at any moment. And now, all that remains are these 7 minutes. As the clock nears its end, something awakens in the soul. Some are seized by panic, running, screaming, pounding on walls as if they could stop the seconds. Others stand still, frozen like statues already surrendered to the inevitable. But no matter the reaction, the same clock governs all, a final chapter that no one can tear from the book. The strange thing is how time feels both short and infinite. 7 minutes can stretch into eternity for the one who regrets every decision, yet vanish in a blink for the one who's long awaited the end. Here, seconds become years, and years turn to ash. No calendars, no plans, no future, only the relentless rhythm calling every soul to its final encounter. And as the hand moves on, as the seconds slip through our fingers like grains of sand, the truth becomes clear. The final clock doesn't just mark the end of the world, it marks the end of every soul. Everything stands in the light of these 7 minutes, and no one can hide any longer. And just as the ticking echoes on, leave your thought in the comments. What would you do if you only had 7 minutes left? Suddenly, the sky is no longer the familiar vault of safety humanity once leaned upon. The clouds, once scattered by the warmth of the sun, now gather like a fortress wall. Darkness does not fall gently, it devours everything at once. Light flickers wildly, as if the universe itself trembles before what is about to be revealed. No one can say the heavens are empty anymore, for they have become a stage where the invisible steps into sight. A blinding radiance cuts through the darkness, and the ground beneath trembles. Homes collapse, oceans rise, and mountains seem to breathe like living beings. This is no accident of nature. It is something greater, something that shatters the border between worlds. The heavens open not to impress, but to expose what has always been there, what mankind refused to see. What pours out from the sky is both beauty and terror, a light so fierce that eyes burn with tears, yet so pure that souls feel stripped bare. It is a light that cannot be bought or manipulated, a light that weighs every life, every thought. Heaven itself has become a witness, and every heart trembles beneath its gaze. As the stars fall like sparks from a shattered lamp, deep rumblings echo beyond the atmosphere. The sound is not just heard, it is felt in the bones, in the blood, in the soul. It is as if the cosmos itself cries out. And mankind realizes this is not the end of a world, it is the beginning of judgment. Panic spreads among the nations. Some cling to science for explanation, others call upon gods they never believed in. But every theory collapses when the sky tears apart what was once called reality. Before every eye, mystery becomes truth, and no one can look away. Within that opening lies a terrible finality, a gate that once opened, no one can close. Heaven has released what has always been waiting. Some fall to the dust in despair, others stretch their arms toward the light. But all know, this is no longer a warning, this is fulfillment. And as humanity stares upward, hearts pounding like drums before an army, one truth burns through all illusion. Heaven is no longer silent, it speaks, and every gaze that meets it understands that nothing will ever be the same again. And as you picture the heavens opening, don't forget to press like, your way of saying you're ready to follow this revelation wherever it leads. When the heavens have been torn open and the light reveals its dominion, all eyes turn to the nations. The symbols that once inspired pride, flags, borders, armies, now tremble like torn fabric in the wind. Governments gather in panic, but words fall empty. Speeches dissolve into noise. No alliance can explain what unfolds. No treaty can shield against a reality that answers to no human law. Prophecies long dismissed as myth now feel like maps drawn for this very moment. What once was mocked as legend comes alive before the watching world. The nations stand helpless, bound together by one truth, east and west, north and south. None are hidden, none can buy escape. Everything now moves under a single sign. Leaders who built empires on power and control watch their hands tremble. Those who believed themselves invincible see their might turn to smoke. Armies stand armed, yet their weapons feel like toys before the roar of the cosmos. The battle cries die in their throats, for this is no longer man against man, but humanity before the divine. People watch as their national identities, once their pride, their purpose, their belonging, dissolve like mist. When the seas rage and the stars fall, passports and borders lose all meaning. All that remains is the heart and the weight it carries. The signs of the nations are not marks of glory, but reminders that no people, no empire, can withstand the gaze of eternity. The collective cry becomes deafening. Cities erupt in chaos, squares fill with screams, halls of power drown in despair. It is here humanity finally understands. Their systems were always built on sand. When the ocean of truth crashes down, every foundation is swept away. The nations become leaves in a storm, directionless, powerless, carried by the wind. And yet amid the madness, a few remember the words hidden in ancient pages. They see not just catastrophe but confirmation. Where others see chaos, they recognize prophecy fulfilled. And their calm presence only deepens the contrast. Light against panic, faith against fear. Thus the world stands united beneath a single sign, the fall of nations. No longer proud banners of power, but fragile witnesses to human frailty. As the light from heaven pours over the kingdoms of the earth, one truth resounds. No king, no president, No army can rewrite the end, and as we speak of nations trembling beneath the sky, make sure you subscribe, for the story of the 7 final minutes is far from over. As the nations collapse and human pride turns to dust, time itself becomes unbearable. 7 minutes may sound like nothing, yet in this moment every second strikes like a verdict. Now everything stands exposed. There are no more masks to hide behind, no more clever illusions. The choice stands naked before every soul, faith or fear. Humanity sees its heart reflected in the mirror of eternity. It is not wealth, not power, not name that matters. It is the road one chooses in that final pressured instant. Some cling to their faith like an anchor in the storm. Others break, letting panic swallow them whole. The divide does not come by sword, but by light, a light that pierces everything. No one can say, "I'll decide later." There is no later. The clock still ticks, and every breath becomes a confession. Some cry out to the God they long denied, while others turn away, unable to receive what is freely offered. Yet the choice is made, consciously or not. To refuse to choose is still a choice. And in this strange, holy moment, the world is divided, not by nations or languages, but by the heart's response. Light calls, but so does darkness. Those who stand still in trust shine with a peace that confuses everyone around them. Those who turn toward fear become shadows, consumed by their own despair. It is a painful sight. Families torn apart, friends separated, lovers standing on opposite sides. But no one can cling to another's faith anymore. The final choice is personal, intimate, irreversible. Here, every soul stands alone before eternity. And because of that, it weighs heavier than anything else in existence. The war is no longer fought on battlefields or in parliaments. It rages within each heart. There, in the depths of the soul, eternity itself is decided. And it is no longer about strength or prestige, but courage, the courage to hold on to the light while the world collapses around you. As the end approaches with unstoppable force, the final choice becomes the very center of everything. There is no return. What is chosen in these last minutes is not just a moment's decision, it becomes destiny. And as you feel the weight of that truth settle within you, leave your thought in the comments. What would your heart choose when only minutes remain? When the choice has been made and the world stands divided, the sound of panic and despair no longer fills the air alone. Amid the storm, another tone emerges: silence. A stillness not born from indifference, but from a peace the world cannot comprehend. The righteous stand there, not as the strongest or the most powerful, but as those who have carried within them an unshakable certainty. It is strange to witness. While screams echo through the streets, some remain still, unafraid. Their silence is not empty, it is full. It holds the same depth as the sea, the same calm as the stars that continue to shine even when the heavens burn. Their gaze does not turn away, for they have already seen what is greater than death. Those around them are confused, even angered by their stillness. How can they be silent while the world falls apart, they ask. But their silence speaks louder than 1,000 voices. It says that hope is not lost, that the light cannot be extinguished. It is not resignation, it is trust. The contrast becomes blinding. Panic meets peace, chaos meets composure. Where the crowds run, a few remain unmoved. Where hearts are crushed by fear, others find rest. Their presence becomes a mirror to all humanity, a living reminder that there is a path not built on fear, but on faith. And then, something extraordinary happens. In the midst of the turmoil, people begin to seek out these silent souls. Like shipwrecked sailors drawn to a distant light, they move toward the quiet ones, not because they hold all the answers, but because their silence reveals that the answer was never far away. This silence is not an absence, it is a testimony. It carries a weight that no words could ever bear, and in the final minutes, that very silence becomes the loudest message, not through speeches or persuasion, but through a presence that cannot be shaken. So the righteous stand in their last moments, not as heroes the world will celebrate, but as witnesses the world cannot ignore. Their silence burns like an invisible fire, unseen yet warm, unheard yet echoing through eternity. And as you reflect on this stillness amid chaos, leave your thought in the comments below. Do you believe that sometimes silence speaks louder than words? When silence settles like a mystery over the righteous, the air shifts once more, and everyone feels it. Judgment. What was once seen as symbolism, as distant words from ancient texts, now becomes tangible. No one can think of it as something far away anymore. It is here, near, inescapable. Every heart senses it, every soul trembles as everything is about to be weighed. This is no longer a matter of theories, no longer debates between philosophers or preachers. Every action, every word, every thought now carries a weight that crushes. Humanity sees its life unfold, like a book being opened before its eyes, page after page, and realizes that nothing can be erased. The judgment is not unfair, it is precise, and that precision is what makes it terrifying. Faces reflect terror. Those who lived for their own glory watch their deeds crumble to dust. Those who built their lives on lies see the truth blaze through like fire. Everything hidden is exposed, everything concealed is brought to light. No title, no wealth, no name can soften the brilliance that now examines every soul. But for those who carried faith as a hidden treasure, the light is not only fire, it is warmth. For them, judgment is not a trap, but a confirmation. Their lives are not flawless stories, but they are stories held by faithfulness, and in the contrast between fear and peace, the reality of judgment becomes even clearer. All humanity stands as before a mirror. Some try to hide, only to find there are no shadows left. Others try to bargain, only to realize that no words can suffice. Judgment does not speak through threats, it speaks through truth, and truth cannot be bought, silenced, or escaped. It is a moment when time itself stops. Each tick of the clock feels heavier than ever, yet everyone knows the end is as certain as the rising of the sun. Judgment sweeps across humanity like a wave, not to destroy blindly, but to measure with perfect justice. And as judgment draws near, the world understands. This is not the end of a story, this is the culmination, the point toward which all things have always been moving, and every soul now stands face to face with its eternal answer. And as you reflect on this moment, share your thoughts in the comments below. How do you think it would feel to stand before judgment, with nothing left to hide? As judgment hangs heavy over the world, panic erupts like never before. The streets overflow with screams, crowds surge and scatter, running without direction, as if motion itself could save them from the inevitable. Eyes widen in terror, voices crack and break from desperate cries. The collective fear becomes a tidal wave, pulling everything into its undertow, a tremor that shakes the very core of humanity. No one pretends to be strong anymore. Those who once ruled with iron voices are now as terrified as children clinging to their mothers. Power, built up through centuries, collapses like paper in fire. Titles, weapons, wealth, all meaningless now. Fear makes everyone equal, king and servant, rich and poor, strong and weak. It's as if all of humanity screams in unison, but the choir is made of anguish. People trample each other, desperate to escape, yet every road leads nowhere. The seas roar, the sky burns, the ground quakes beneath their feet. There is no refuge left, no sanctuary to hide in. Fear strips away every illusion, revealing what has always been true. Mankind is small, fragile and powerless before the divine. And then despair begins to bloom. Many realize too late what they rejected, what they refused to see. They cry out for more time, but time gives no answer. They beg for mercy, but their voices are drowned by the roar of the cosmos itself. This fear is not merely physical, it is spiritual, a judgment that pierces deeper than pain. The few who stand still, calm, unwavering, faithful, shine even brighter in the chaos. Like small beacons in the storm, they stand as living proof that peace is still possible, even at the end. But to the multitudes, their presence becomes torment, a reminder of what they lost. And so, the fear intensifies. It spreads like a chain reaction. One person's panic infects the next, and the next, until entire cities tremble under the same consuming dread. It's a collective collapse. Fear no longer belongs to individuals, but to the entire species. It fills the air, seeps into the blood, poisons every thought. And so the final minutes echo not with words, but with heartbeats, not individual pulses, but one vast, terrified rhythm. The collective fear has become humanity's final language. And as you imagine that wave of terror sweeping across the world, share your thoughts below. How do you think humanity would react if every source of safety vanished in a single minute? As the collective fear fills the air, one truth becomes undeniable. This is no ordinary moment. This is the final call, the last warning. 7 minutes may seem brief, yet in the light of eternity, they are enough to decide everything. The final warning is not an echo of the past. It is the fulfillment of every prophecy, a door closing with unrelenting force. It's here that humanity finally understands. Every sign, every whisper, every trembling in the heavens was leading to this. Prophecies once dismissed as superstition now blaze like fire across the sky. No one can say they didn't know. The final warning hides from no one. It shines openly, a light that burns through every shadow and exposes every heart. Heartbeats quicken. Some fall to the ground in repentance, others scream in defiance. The final warning demands a response, and the time to respond is now. There are no masks left, no excuses, no illusions of control. Everything stands before eternity, and the seconds are mercilessly few. Yet even in this moment of terror, there remains a doorway of grace. Amid the chaos, amid the trembling earth, a single chance still stands open for those who dare to step through. The final warning is not only a declaration of judgment, it is an invitation, a last cry of mercy that reaches every soul, no matter how far they've fallen. No one is too lost, not even now. And still, the clock moves forward. Each second that passes is heavier than the one before. Everyone knows it. When these final minutes run out, there will be no second chance. The final warning is just that. Final. No appeal, no delay, only truth. Then comes the silence. Deep, sacred, terrifying. The heavens remain open, but the ticking of time grows louder, sharper, unstoppable. Every soul understands it now. This moment will never return. This is the end of all waiting. This is the edge where time gives way to eternity. The last 7 minutes are not simply the end of a story. They are the threshold of forever. And before we cross that final line, make sure you subscribe, because this journey doesn't end here. There's more beyond the 7 minutes, more than anyone ever imagined.